So let's move on to contract storage and get a deeper dive into non-fungible tokens under the hood with high-level programming versus low-level programming. So low-level programming languages often use a stack to pass values to functions. So when we think of high-level programming, right, we write these functions. There's an example here. A function like a mint function over here takes arguments, right? We would work with arguments. However, in low-level programming, and here's our friend over here saying hello. Well, in low-level programming, we use a stack to pass values to functions, and the EVM uses a 256-bit register stack. All right, so as we mentioned, that those are the bits. Those are the maximum bits, which is 16 squared for our opcodes, so that in total the stack can only hold 1,024 items. All right, so this is just something interesting to know. All right, you don't have to memorize this, but it does play a significant role when it comes to the storage of contracts because there are a lot of misconceptions in terms of contract storage. How does it work? How are we storing information, our variables, our data? And because of these limitations, right, because we can only hold 1024 items, we use contract memory to retrieve or pass data. And when we write our smart contracts, we're going to see this. We're going to be working with the memory keyword or the storage keyword when we want to store data. All right, contract storage essentially acts as a public database from which values can be read externally without having to send a transaction to the contract. So that's no fees. Okay, so all that means is that our contract storage is going to work as our own public database, and we do not have fees when we are reading it externally. However, when we write to storage, it is very expensive, and this is our gas fees, all right? And we can write to storage or we can write to memory. So we're going to be looking at that and the different points in case when we work with one as opposed to the other. And if this is all very new and confusing and you are unsure about these terms because you have no experience programming whatsoever, then I don't want you to fear, because quite honestly, talking about these things versus actually coding them and seeing them execute in front of our very eyes are two very different things. These are just introductory fundamentals, so take as much as you can from now. And as we're coding and developing this project from scratch, having that hands-on knowledge, you can come back to this slide, you can come back to these presentations, come back, and it will be much more clear. So don't worry if this is your first time coding and you're totally new to bytecodes and virtual machines and working with memory and storage. The more you code, you will see these terms over and over and over again. These are fundamentals.